Yes, hello again. Welcome back to another edition of A Photographer Talks. This week, it's a Friday feature. Couldn't make it on Wednesday, technical difficulties. So we've got a Friday feature featuring a fantastic photographer from Denmark. And this gentleman was responsible for the imagery on this epic snowboard. You'll see them all behind him during the interview, which we will start imminently. Yes, absolutely. So, Esben Zollner Olesen. He was born into a family of artists, and as a sort of rebellion, in his own words, against the path of the artistry, he decided initially to serve in the army of Denmark. And after that, he studied economics and, believe it or not, went into a career in corporate finance. Having spent way too much time using spreadsheets, he decided that the family calling of that artistry that I just mentioned became too great, and he entered a picture into a Canon photography contest in 2008, which he managed to win. So finally he decided, okay, enough is enough. He handed in his notice in the finance world and started up life as a full-time photographer. In his own words, he hasn't looked back since. He's born or originally raised on a small farm in Denmark and moved to Copenhagen for a number of years, 13 exactly, unlucky for some. And following the arrival of his two children, he and his family moved out of the capital to a place called Odense. I hope I pronounced that right, where they now live close to his extended family, and that's where he is going to join us from today. So, will you please join me in welcoming Esben Zollner Olesen to your screens? There he is.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Good. Live from Odense.
What? You say, okay, I got it wrong. I got it very wrong. Say it once more. Say it again.
Odense.
Oh man, I can't do that. I'm going to go with good day. Hey, good day. It sounds Australian when I do it. I don't think I'm going to try it. I mean, you don't really sound that Danish, so it's fine that I don't sound Danish either, right?
Well, thank you. I always appreciate it when we try not to sound Danish in English.
And actually, I have to say, I've just realised this, but you kind of let me down today because you're not wearing black.
Yeah, and I cut my beard today as well, so that was all for you, Charlie.
Oh my word, this is amazing. Well, I like the fact that you've blended your top with the golden colours of the snowboards on the background to the mountain, which you are happily sporting there behind you. Great work.
The only good background for today, especially talking to you, that was part of this project here. So
absolutely, yeah, very appropriate. And I have to remember to pass this video on to Nitro afterwards, so they can share it and enjoy the fame that you bring. So how are you doing? Are you happy, fit, well?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. We haven't been hit so bad by the coronavirus here in Denmark. We managed to shut down very early, but now we're seeing a bit of a hike again. But I've been managed to work a few days here and there. So that's good. And currently we are in a heat wave, sort of what we call it in Denmark. We are above 30 degrees, so we are hot and nice here. And after the interview, look forward to joining the rest of the family for a beer outside in the garden.
That sounds remarkable. Yeah. Is Odense? Is it near the ocean at all?
Well, it's on an island, so there's not that far.
Okay.
Denmark has a lot of ocean, so I think we have like 25 kilometers.
Okay.
And 2 kilometers to a fjord, which is like an inlake from the ocean. So it's pretty close, yeah.
Great. Right. Well, as soon as this is done, I'm going to book myself a ferry and come and drive over and see you.
Well, I have a guest room, so you can just join anytime.
Excellent. Great. I've got my camera. It's all ready.
Oh, cool.
So tell me, We're going to talk about some of your amazing photographs, and more to the point, your career, which over the last 12 years has done a hefty change.
I would, yeah. So
And it was all down to this photograph of your friend Mads Naumann, really. So the shot that we're talking about, I'm going to pop on screen. Here we have a great shot. It looks as though he's going to get you. Actually, he's going to catch you up pretty fast.
Very close.
Yes, very well. I mean, obviously, you shooting this with a very long lens, and he's miles away. But you entered this into Canon a Canon photography competition called the Mission in 2008. When you put the photograph in, did you have in the back of your mind that this is sort of the route you were going to go down, the sport photography, becoming the pro photographer, or was it a bit of I'm going to give it a go and see what happens?
Well, I was studying at the time economics and really enjoying what I did, but also always carrying around a camera as most wannabe photographers does. And actually, to be honest, probably spend more time with the camera in hand or reading about cameras and pictures and stuff like that than I did in the economic studies. So I got quite engaged in that and studies and parties. And then we were on a holiday with the economics schools and just went around shooting pictures in the off-piste with hangovers like this one here.
Yeah.
Then it just turned out good. I got a mail from like a promotion mail from Canon, and we're like, yeah, why not enter? And then apparently it won the sports section here in Denmark, and I think it got second or something on the international level. And I was like, maybe there's something more here that I could pursue instead of just looking at spreadsheets all day.
Yeah.
So really happy with this one, and it was also just one of those perfect days you have with friends. Like I was on my snowboard, and it was just, we had a bit of hangover from the day before, and we woke up at like 7 in the morning and just stomped all night, and was perfect sunshine with new fresh snow. And I think it was on the last day of the trip, so we had to leave there in the evening. So we just like got up and used the best of the day to have fun and just shoot a few pictures and just ride a lot of powder. And you can also see from Mads, he is just like smiling. You can see his teeth up here, just completely white.
Yeah, it's more shrieking, I think, of enjoyment.
Yeah, we did. And then we had I shot on a 200 millimeter on a crop sensor, so it's like a 300.
Yeah.
So it's not that long a lens, but we had this slogan back then that is safety third. So he was very close at hitting me.
Especially at that speed, you can tell he was going quite some pace.
Yeah, he's a very talented skier. After that, he spent I think 3 years in the States and just skiing.
Nice, lucky for him. But unlucky for him, they didn't have you to take his pictures. So I mean, this was very much your first foray into sports photography, and slightly lucky shot, would you say? I mean, obviously you were focusing on getting something, but the strength and the power behind it.
Yeah, I had an idea about the shot I wanted to do, but I would say turning out like this, it was fairly lucky. I think I had this one and 2 or 3 other pictures from the whole week where we shot a lot of pictures that was like this level. So yeah, fairly lucky.
Nice. Well, I mean, you obviously you nailed it. You got a great shot. But progressing on, I mean, through the years, did you aggressively pursue sports photography, or were you sort of shooting other areas?
Yeah. I have from a child years. I was a competitive gymnast and really loved alternative, a bit extreme sports, action sports, and also really loved the scenery where you can take the athletes out and shoot them instead of you have to be in a football stadium for football, stuff like that. So you actually can take people out into the nature or the cityscapes do more creative photography. And I really like trying to get that decisive moment shot within like a landscape cityscape setting. I can really use the creative surroundings and lighting doing the shoot and play around with that.
And that's become, would you say that's then become your kind of trademark, should you say?
Yeah, I would say trying to make order of disorder with a nice lighting.
True. Well, I think the next shot actually that will pop up is a good example of that. This is more recent. Obviously, this work, I think the Copenhagen was from 2017.
Yes.
And this, I love this. I love this shot. It's exactly that. It's order out of disorder. Your timing is absolutely exquisite with him splashing in. Dare I ask how many images you shot on this before you popped this, or is that a single bang?
It's not a single bang. It was on what you say, we shot a lot of pictures in a row, but actually this wasn't the picture I was going for. I have been shooting Copenhagen and wakeboarding for a few years and know that like the splashing is always a good picture because you get like water all over, and if you can get like a face or something in there, it's perfect. And he was actually going over an obstacle where he had to like rail on an obstacle, slide over it, and then he fell off. And I just followed him with a 70 to 200, and then just splashed in the water. And I know from like experience at that point that you just have to follow them and see what happens, so you don't like take down the camera like, oh, he fell off, shot's ruined. So actually, I was trying to go for another shot, but I could follow him through on this one and get this image here. So really satisfied with that, and it's, as you said, it's like right in the decisive moment, just before he tips all the way under. So even with a 1D, that's quite lucky getting that.
Yeah, it is. It's very tricky. I mean, you have a fragment of a second, really. You know, I've been shooting a lot of kayaking stuff lately, and with the kayaker sort of dropping off, and that split second, it's so minute, isn't it? It's fractional. Before their head kind of suddenly disappears behind the spray, or they're half submerged and you kind of miss it. So
I was shooting Copenhagen the year before also, and trying to get this shot and had like an idea of it like right before.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make it that year, so I just had like where they were a few images where they were a bit too high in the water or too low, but put them in anyway. But this is like the winner shot.
Do you shoot much wakeboarding outside of Copenhagen?
Yeah, I did. I haven't. When you lived in Copenhagen, I lived like a kilometers from the wake park.
Ah, nice.
So it was really nice just to walk there and have a bit of shoot. And I knew many of the guys also from the Copenhagen years. And just when I started out shooting action sport, I just had a friend that knew one there and just talked, well, can I come shoot a few pictures? And then just getting to know the sport and them and just trying to learn stuff and how to make it look good. And then you shoot at like the same facility for so many years that you kind of like know all the good angles and how not to shoot. And then for Copenhagen, we moved the same, what they call the line that pulls them. We moved that out into the mode around Christiansborg, which is the parliament in Denmark. Mm-hmm. So it's actually in the mode around our parliament that they competed.
Wow, that's very different. But you'd obviously you'd honed your skills very well by going to the wake park countless times, and that's obviously a great way, for people to hone their skills as a photographer. I've heard of photographers who want to get into motorsports going back to the same track again and again and again, and in that way you become supremely familiar, and obviously then you can start to harness these shoots, harness the power of photography and get the shots that you want, like you've just proven. Another one that we've got that we'll put up is wakeboarder behind an aeroplane. So this is now what we're going to show is a few images where you can see that you've got comfortable with shooting wakeboarding. And now you're starting to be a little bit more ambitious with some of your shots, and
project.
This one is highly amusing. Who was this for? Was this a Red Bull one or someone else?
We actually did this for the image before, where it drops into the water, was from the competition. This was done as a teaser shoot for that competition.
Oh,
so
right.
was that we had a lot of guys coming in from around Denmark and also abroad, and then we had to figure out how they came into Copenhagen. And then this guy wakeboard behind a plane, another wakeboard behind a car, and one behind the submarine and stuff like that. And then this guy had to do it behind the plane, and it was we had sunshine in the morning, and then we just had terrible weather driving through Denmark to where this plane was at. And then when we arrived, it was the most amazing sunset ever. It was just like you had a storm in one side, and the sun going down the other side. It's completely red, and it's just raining. Then we come out, and then the owner of the airplane is there, and he's like, "Yeah, you're just one of maybe 3 guys that has ever wakeboarded behind a plane, and each engine is €1 million. So don't drop that line; they will suck them up and destroy the motors." And then Robin, that's on this picture, is like, yeah, that's fine. Just keep it at around 40 kilometers, and we're all good. And the first thing the pilot does when he taxi out to the harbor is like put it up to like 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers. And then Rob is just like trying to get them to stop, and we couldn't follow him in the boat, so we had to like sail in front of him and just like, stop, you have to be slower, otherwise we will drop him. So we did that, and then we had a combined shooting time of exactly 7 minutes and 15 seconds before we had to return to port. So we just followed him around, and I was shooting on 3 cameras. This one here, 1D with a 16-35 and a 70-200 on another, and a 200-400 on the third. And then just getting the shots we needed in those 7 minutes.
So it was you on a boat trying to cope with the bouncing at the same time. And you
on a rib. Sorry.
On a rib, yeah, but you had a driver.
So we were on a rib boat that could exactly follow the plane, but we couldn't overtake it. So we had to be a bit like decide on what to do, to try and shout to the man, to the captain in the boat. And I was there with the video guy, and he wanted something different. So we had to share the time we had. Yeah,
the classic problem between photographers and video people. But you achieved it, right? I mean, this was a great shot. What speed was he going there? I mean,
I would say about 40, yeah.
Okay, so he kept kind of in control. I mean, that's got to have been pretty scary, really, more so than going behind a boat.
For him or me?
Well, for him, I was thinking, but I mean, for you, because you've got to try and keep up with this damn plane, haven't you?
Yeah. It was good fun. He actually brought his parents so they could watch it. They were quite scared, I think.
They should have been in the plane, hanging out the door, waving.
Yeah,
as well.
You can't see anything from inside the plane. Neither can the pilot, so that's you can't really see back.
Brilliant. I love it. I mean, yeah, effectively a great result from a very difficult shoot, I'd imagine. But that by comparison, I'd say, to your next one is where you really start to see some of your ambition and your skills appear. And that's the one that I used on the marketing of. Now I'm clearly not going to pronounce this right, but Therese Tabel.
Oh, that was
that good?
Almost perfect.
Okay, perfect, brilliant. Now this is there's a couple of shots from the series, and I put the first one up of her with all the LEDs on the bottom. This is great. Was this an idea that you presented to Red Bull, or was it one that they came to you to execute, or a bit of both?
It was a collaboration. They were talking about doing it, I think, with light cubes.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, we really can't put like 4 light cubes up there. We just give spotlights, and then we talk through about it. And then I many years ago tried building a wakeboard with LED lights and did a shot with that. That was sort of okay, but it was many years ago. I was like, I tried this before, and then we just went all in, and then I worked, I don't know, a week in my basement attaching about 6,000 LED lights on strips to her board and kite, and then wiring it all down, building a backpack that was waterproof where you can put in a big battery. So we had like about 2 hours worth of shooting time on one battery pack, and then just trying to make it all work and make it sort of waterproof. And then as things will happen, we had to shoot it, and then we couldn't make the kite go up and have light in it at the same time. And then when we got that to work one night, the wind was dead, and then we had to postpone it and then shoot it again. So that was a project over, I think, 1 or 2 months. By the end of this, and yeah, but really happy with this result here. So actually, you can see the water is kind of blue, and that's from the LEDs from the kite that illuminates the water. Yeah. And we also had like a very tiny window to shoot it because you want it dark, but you also don't want it completely dark. So you want that like 15 minutes right after sunset. Yeah. 15, 20, 30 minutes right after sunset where you have the window to shoot. So you really don't have a lot of time. So we had to be good. And then this was shot with a 200-400, so you can get that close smile in there. And today's is just great for pictures always, and really love how the LEDs just light her up. Yeah, and also her and the splash and everything.
The lighting on her face is pretty amazing. It's almost like you spotlit it, but I'm guessing that's from the sort of white, yellow ones that go kind of across her chest, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also on her arm, the one that grabs. There's a LED up here that actually hits her face. So that was like the idea of putting LEDs up there as well.
Okay. So yeah.
With some nice lighting.
But so are you a kite surfer as well?
No, I haven't kite surfed. I wake surfed, wakeboard a few times, but not kite.
So when obviously you were attaching all these lights to her board and her kite, were you confident doing this that you weren't going to cause any obstruction, or were you doing it under direction from her as well?
We did the first part with the board with her in Copenhagen, and a few of the Red Bull guys and knew a lot of my kite boarding, and then we did the kite here at my home the first day with help of a Red Bull kite boarder as well, and then I did the rest alone. So we had an idea on how we could do it with board. The problem was that you can't really, for example, she had to walk quite far into the water before she could take on the board, because otherwise she would step on the LEDs and they would be destroyed on stones. So there was quite a few technical difficulties with that.
And the waterproof backpack as well.
Actually, it actually ended up with the waterproof backpack wasn't waterproof at all, apparently. So when we pulled out the battery, it's just completely soaked in salt water. But it lasted as long as it should, so that was fine.
Wow, that's slightly sketchy.
That's a really funny thing with the board here is that afterwards the Red Bull guys wanted to put it up at the office in Denmark and then just attach it to a plug in the wall. So and it was set for, I think it was 12-volt system. So if you plug in 230 volts, that just came out like this huge flame of each of the LEDs. No. When they attached it, so it just burned completely and then got ruined in the office.
Oh no, that's a shame. You needed a transformer. That's a bit of a bummer. The shots you were shooting, do you remember what sort of ISO you were pumping out on these?
200.
Okay, so quite simple, but your frame shutter speed?
Yeah, I have it here. It's 320 and f4.5.
Okay, nice, good. So fairly
like 320, you can get that kind of blur in wakeboarding. So you have to be very careful. But I didn't want to go like higher than 3200 to noise. So you really had to try to time it. And then there's a shot on, I think, a 300 millimeter with the 200-400. So it's really nice with that one because on the water it's so difficult to judge distances. So I can tell her I want you exactly to do the turn here, but she can't see it half a minute later. So it's really helped to have that good zoom in the 200-400 here instead of a fixed lens.
So for these two shots, then the extreme close up of her that we've just been discussing, then the wider shot, including the lighthouse. Were you shooting these both from the same position, or was the first one from a boat or similar?
No. The first one here, it was shot by not in a boat, because when we have this kind of shutter speeds that low, if we're in a boat and the waves there, we will just get blurred. So I was shooting from, I think I was standing like in the water or just next to it on the beach, and just trying to get her to go in and then out and go in again.
Right, gotcha.
And then this shot, you can see this sort of walkway where I'm standing.
Yes, yeah. I see. Nice. And did you have the colours? Is it me, or is the colour of the lighthouse at the top also slightly?
Yeah, that's the real colours.
Are they really? That's what it's like normally.
Yeah, I would say I post-production my image, of course, but only in raw converter. I don't really do Photoshop at all on anything. So everything you see is real.
Nice. The purest.
I might have turned up the colors a bit, but it's the real colors.
Yeah, nice. That's great. I mean, it's a wonderful shot, and obviously you've got the line crossing from bottom left to top right of the cloud, a little bit like the wakeboarding behind the plane. Seems to be a bit of a trend with you. You know, you've caught the storm and the light. It's pretty nice. It's maybe representative of your photography as a whole, isn't it? You know, we're edging towards the black and white, the darker Esben as we go through this conversation. So maybe that's a little trait of yours.
Yeah, my old roommate used to tell me that he can also always recognize my images from the cloud.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, there's definitely a trend going on here in those. And what better way to continue that is by showing this one of the paraglider. So yet another excellent action sports shot here. There again, we have a pretty amazing sunset, a bit of dramatic cloud, not quite as much as the last couple of shots, but still going on there. And is it the swallow? Is it swallows?
No, Sterlings.
Sterlings, sorry, that's the bird. Yeah, so
phenomenon where they come like, I don't know, many million Sterlings while they wander down south. They land in Denmark to feed in this marshy area near Germany, and then they stay there for a week or a few days before they head on from there. And it's called Black Sun because right around sunset, right after sunset, they all come in to the same trees or area to sleep for the night. So they just black out the sunset. And then we tried to put Horatio and Lawrence here up in a paraglider to fly with them.
Yeah.
And we had 4 days of shooting. And then, we had 3 full days of shooting. And then we had the first day where everybody just came in and we just decided, we can just stay in the hotel, talk everything through. And then we decided, like, in the last minute, well, we would go out shoot anyway. So we went out and shot this year, and he flew with the birds in 4 minutes, 20 seconds around that, where we could actually get him in the air with the birds.
Yeah.
And for the next 3 days, we tried 18 hours a day to get him up with the birds and didn't manage. So it was really good when we went out the first day.
Wow, really?
And this year is actually shot because I had this shot in mind all the time. So I actually set up a remote camera on a tripod, and then I could just stand like 50 meters away from there with 2 other cameras with a telephoto and another wide angle. So every time I shot a picture with those cameras, this one took a picture, and this is one of them. So this is just a tripod camera with a remote control. Nice.
You definitely got that working. Is that something you do quite a lot, using remote cams?
When I have like a certain idea and we're pressed for time, for example, here we knew that we had like very limited time with him in the air, no matter what happened.
Yeah.
So here we set it up beforehand, so we were sure to get as many angles as possible during this time we had with the birds.
And did you have any concerns that because the paraglider has it's one of those with the big motor at the background and the back, yeah. And so did you ever have any concerns of bird strike?
Yes and no. We didn't strike any birds, and we choose the first ever, I think, electric paraglider as well.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so it didn't really make that much noise, to be honest. Also because we had that concern, and we was in contact with they called the nature per se. Well, what they call the people in the government that make sure that nature is good.
Yeah, yeah.
So they allowed us to fly there. They got the email said that we hadn't ever got a request like this before, so we're going to say yes.
Ah, nice.
Very nice.
You obviously phrased it particularly well. I mean, was this one of your favourite shoots? Because I remember these shots coming out actually when I was still at Red Bull, and they were met with many smiles, should I say?
Yeah. I really enjoyed this shoot. It was really nice, and also just like being out, and you were out like 4 a.m. to be ready for the sunrise. In Denmark, we have sunrise in the height of summer at like, I don't know, 5:30 or something. So you have to go up like very early and stand out there, and you just like your whole body was just itching with adrenaline. Does the bird comes up or doesn't they today? They apparently decided to nest another place the rest of the time. So this was the lucky one where we got them, and then you just have to be prepared and shoot everything you need for the whole series in those 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
That's nerve-wracking.
Yeah. It was, but we didn't know at the time that it was only those minutes we would get. So
I think it's generally quite a trend, really, isn't it? With a lot of shoots. I remember talking to Garth Millan about something similar. He was prepping. He'd been prepping for a shoot, and it's in one of the talks that we had. He'd been prepping for a shoot for a number of days, and he had his position all nailed. He only had one camera in this instance, and then a security lady came along and told him he had to move when he had about 3 or 4 minutes left before this big jump was going to happen. So you've got to think on your feet and get that shot in such a short period of time. And I myself experienced it not in that scenario, but slightly different.
yeah.
And it's definitely a trend that as a photographer you have to be able to be very quick-witted and think on your feet super fast.
And also, like, for example, this is Red Bull athletes, but I shoot a lot of CEOs as well, and you get the time you do. Like with superstars within the sport, they don't have a lot of time, so you get the time you do get, and then you just have to make the best of it every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then sometimes it's like here 4 minutes 20 seconds, and other times you get 2 hours, and at other times there will be pictures from another project where we had 10 days. So you get the time you do, and then make sure to make the best of it. And also, like a lot of these extreme athletes, they will do the stunt once or twice, and then you just have to get the picture.
Yeah, exactly. It depends how important and high up they are in the pay grade, shall we say? That's a very true point. I mean, luckily here you had 4 days to shoot, but it wasn't the athlete that was your issue; it was nature. So that's a wonderful example of kind of it's not necessarily about the person you're shooting, but the environment.
There's actually a really fun story to this photo. Afterwards, after this photo, he came around to the land at where I was, and then I could just get the sun behind him. So I was low in the grass, and he came right in over me. And there's actually an image where you can just see his feet like this close to the camera. And then afterwards, he just hit my head with his feet. I stumbled backwards.
Nice.
And then he landed like 5 minutes later, 5 meters later.
Crikey! Yeah, did you publish that one?
Published? Yeah, I think we did.
I'll have to go.
It's not funny if you didn't know that happened. But.
No, exactly. You can't tell. It's sometimes with imagery you want to embed a verbal file, a voice file, so to explain the story. Obviously, a picture tells 1,000 words, but in that instance, not enough.
No. And it was shot on a 16mm full frame, so you can see the foot is very big compared to the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So moving on, we've got a shot here of the roller coaster. So I'm moving into what I'm terming as your sort of the darker side of Esben, with the last three shots of our chat. And this first one is still sticking with your kind of action sports vibe. Chris Kyle, world class BMXer, and he decided to take to a roller coaster, as you do, for a photo shoot. Now I've put it into black and white because when we've talked before, and we've obviously met as well. You are Danish, and everything's black in Denmark. And progressively, you said you like shooting in black and white.
Yeah.
But I particularly chose this because a roller coaster is traditionally very colourful and bright and exciting. And obviously here you've kind of made the image work with it A being black and white, and B the BMXer popping very nicely against that small portion of black sky. Was this in? Forgive me for not knowing. Actually, I should have checked this one. But was this in Denmark? This shoot?
Yeah. This is Denmark. We did a huge, actually the largest Red Bull project in Denmark in collaboration with Visit Denmark. They want to rebrand Denmark with Chris Kyle here, so we went on to of 10 days of unique shooting on unique locations in Denmark, where this was probably my favorite, which is, I think, the world's oldest still functioning roller coaster. I think it's like 110 years old or something.
Amazing.
All wooden, and I can tell you from walking all over it, rotten a few places as well. So you don't have to. You have to be careful not fall through. And then Chris just started shooting. So this was actually like trying to just practice before we had to shoot the video. You can see exactly where Chris is. We had to put up 2 huge video lamps for the video shoot. So I had like short amount of time where he practiced, and I could sway him to a few jumps before we had to do the video, which is also always the main part of shoots like this.
Yeah.
But I'm up here, and it's, as you can see, in the middle of the night. I just I shot it on the GFX 100, the Fujifilm medium format that I just borrowed for that shoot to try it out if I wanted it, and put on a tripod and shot it at ISO 6400 and then f5 and 1/30 of a second, and then I used 2 flashlights, 2 flashes on either side of the jump, so just to freeze them in the air.
Nice. Okay, so they're tucked down with all the other lights.
Extreme left, you can actually see a bit of harsh light there. That is one of the flashes.
Okay. Yeah, well, very well disguised actually, because of all the other light bulbs that are going on around it.
Yeah. So it was a very technical, difficult shoot to get, but I really wanted that view of the whole roller coaster. You can see the whole scenery and trying to work with all the lines to make them fit together in this chaotic moment here.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the same time have Chris in there, where you can he's such a small percentage of the picture, but it's one of the first things you see because he's lit up towards that completely dark background.
Yeah.
So I tried to work a lot of for many of the pictures here in the series, the subject is actually very, very small, but it's placed or lit in a certain way, so it's one of the first things you see, even though it's maybe 2% of the image. So that's something I really enjoy to do, trying to work with those layers and make the subject pop, even though it's not that big in the picture.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what the Teresa Taba image was. Obviously, she's very small in this big dramatic landscape.
Yeah.
For the Chris Kyle,
Horatio Lawrence, the paraglider.
Of course, again, same. Yeah. For the Chris Kyle, how high up was he? So where his jump is, well, effectively you're probably a little bit higher than him. What's the height off the ground?
I think the roller coaster is about 10 meters high there, so he's a few meters higher than that.
Okay.
So yeah, and the thing was that actually we did this shot. I think he tried it 3 or 4 times, and then I went down and said, "That's fine. I got the image I wanted." And then he did another one where I was just standing right next to him, and he actually landed on the rail of the side, which instead of landing on the
track,
on the landing. So like 5 centimeters more to the side, he dropped off 10 meters towards concrete. So that was a scary one for everybody. And he needed a bit of persuasion from his good friend to do the jump again after that. And we had to move the jump and stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a real pro, so he just went up and did the thing.
Gosh.
But,
yeah. Nerve-wracking.
Very badly.
Nerve-wracking stuff. Well, it's not always for you though about that decisive moment in the action, is it? Because the next shot I'm going to put up, the next two are more artistic. I'd say this is definitely the more artistic side of Esben, and the more black and white one that I've referred to. So we've got something completely starkly different here. Ballet dancer in the sand. This was part of a bigger project. This one is fine art, really, written all over it. Tell us a little bit behind the story behind this.
This is Stephen Mcrae, and he's probably one of the best ballet dancers in the world currently, if not the best male ballet dancer. And he's a solo artist at the London Ballet.
Royal Opera House. No, London Ballet.
And every year he and from all over the world comes to Denmark to do an outdoor show called the World Ballet Tour that I have been fortunate enough to shoot for the last, 5 or 6 years. And then you slowly work your way into these superstars within the world. And then suddenly one day you get in a position where you're going to shoot in the dunes in northern Denmark, in Skagen. You're like, well, Stephen, can we do a naked shoot of you in this dunes? And he's like, yeah, why not? And then this is the result. And it's all natural light, no Photoshop, no nothing. So just lying there with the sand and his ballet body.
And where's the nudity side of it? Was this your idea or the art director's?
It was a combined effort. I think I was talking about keeping on his underwear, and he was like, well, we can take it all off. And I'm like, well, let's do it.
He obviously likes a challenge, right? Different type of challenge.
He's a great guy. So that was really good. And they haven't been here this year, of course, with all Corona, but I really do look forward to shooting it again next year. And also it's a beautiful setting. It's one of those things, as we talked about in the beginning, where I really enjoy to try to take the sport outside into a different environment than a stadium. This is like they do ballet on a beach and in rain, and it's really beautiful settings in the woods and in old castles and stuff like that. Instead of you have to in a theater. So really something I enjoy doing, and a bit of a playground for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, would you looking at this shot? Are there any influences that you refer to as you shoot that you put some of your artistic integrity down to? Yeah.
There's a few guys that I really like, but like my main hero in photography is Mcrae, a Danish photojournalist that also has this a bit dark black and white images where he really uses light and also he's really good at creating order where there's disorder and trying to get a bit of feel in there as well and use the light creative. And he's with that image we saw in the beginning, and then seeing some of his work, I was like, okay, there's different side to photography where you can really play around and create some good, nice stuff in sort of ordinary situations, and really like that. And he was a big influence on how I like to shoot. And also just there's a few really, really talented nude art photographers out there. They do similar stuff that I follow. I think a Danish guy named Thomas Jensen is very talented as well. So just looking at this and trying to work with the sun and how can we like make him look the best with only using the sun and the sand here.
Yeah, yeah, natural light.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really funny because on many shoots I do where you're a bit more like portrait photography, I use light almost every time. But I just did a huge photo wall here at home with my family, friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's one picture of them with artificial lighting because they have the time to wait for the light, shoot it when it's right. While when you're on assignment, many times you don't have the time, so you have to create your vision instead of waiting for the right moment, especially living here in Denmark where we have a bit of a, should we say, grey weather from time to time.
I know all about that, living in Britain. In fact, as I look outside now, it's kind of grey.
Yeah. Yeah, here we have blue sky for the first time in like 4 weeks.
Yeah, well, you've taken our blue sky.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, I mean it's interesting to hear the names. I will put them as references in the bio for the talk afterwards, so we can kind of look and see where some of that comes from. Because the last shot that I put up is a corporate portrait. You referenced doing some corporate portraits earlier in the conversation, and this is a graduating accountant you mentioned from a Deloitte shoot, and this is extremely different. I mean, it takes the sort of the ballet step one step further, and I mean, you entitled it or told me it's a dark corporate portrait. It definitely is. What's the? I mean, apart from the fact that it's amazing, I have to say it is amazing. Is what was your thinking behind this? Because obviously Deloitte. Where was the usage? I think first of all, actually, for the portrait. And then what was your thinking behind it?
It's a very funny story because we had to shoot like, I would say, normal corporate portraits. I shoot a lot of corporate portraits with some kind of edge, but we agreed beforehand that we need to shoot a series of these accounting graduates that it's something called statsautoriseret revisor, which is like a state authorized accountant, which is like one, if not the hardest exam in Denmark.
Okay.
Total. So every time they graduate a badge for the company, they really want to like post it out because it's really difficult to do, and these will be the new accounting superstars.
Okay.
Deloitte is a long-term client of mine, and then we just agreed on like a normal shoot of them. Good colors, blue sky and stuff like that in the background. Happy, everybody's good, and then I just drove. I had to drive like 1.5 hours to get to the shoot with this guy, which was the first one. And as driving, it just stopped pouring down rain, which was not in the forecast, and everything was gray and wet and stuff like that. I had to call my contact at Deloitte and said, "We can't do what we agreed on. She will just we want to make these guys look super cool. She would just do like a Sherlock Holmes and London 1819 inspired shoot, all black and white, and just make it dark and cool." And I'm like, well, we've been working with you a long time, as we trust you. So if you think that will be good, we're good. And so that's really nice when you get a corporate client to be that way. So I just went all in and shot this guy, which was the first one, and he was actually when your eyes look different directions.
Yeah.
So when your eyes look different directions, what do you call that in English?
Oh, good goodness. When they come in to the middle, I can't remember now my name.
But he was like that, and I arrived and saw that, and I was like, we need to do something completely different here. So I came up with that like sideways look where you can just
cross-eyed.
Yeah, cross-eyed, exactly. And then we came up with that sideways look where you just can get like the dark side of it. And then he had this, like coat on and could pull up the flaps, and we just I just underexposed it completely, and then shot it so he was just his face, and then everything else was black, as you can see. And then I did a double exposure. There was a building next to it that has like all kind of leaf growing up it. I did a double exposure with that, so that's what you see in the background. So it's a double exposure in camera shot.
Nice. Okay, that's very strong. That adds obviously a lot more strength to it than you haven't done it afterwards, because you said yourself that you're not much of a photoshopper. anyhow.
No, Photoshop, and I think I open it like once every third month when I have to like rescale a picture and I can't find the original raw files within 5 minutes.
So
That's what I use Photoshop for.
very, very high skill level there in that case. Because then,
Not at all.
well, I know, come on, I'm giving you some praise here because I mean, you know, these are sometimes quite difficult to get the balance right. It does look almost like something out of Alien in a way, I feel.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that actually this picture ended up being like the headline picture for the whole series. We did, I think, 10 different people.
Yeah.
This style, and then this ended up being the headline, and that was also real nice from the client to actually choose a very different kind of picture.
So for the series, then this you had to then shoot a number of other images and keep the same style because all those people weren't with you at the same time, were they?
So I think we shot 10 different people all around Denmark, and then dark black and white for the whole series, and then this ended up being the headline image or the opening image for the whole story.
Amazing. Wow. It's very, very, very different work to what we started off with 50 minutes ago. You know, the range obviously you've got there is really strong, and you can kind of see that the darker, as I've referenced, artistic side of you coming out, the Danish, the deep inset Danish heart in your work. Obviously, we've kind of taken time to look through a lot of pictures, but out of all the shoots that you've done in, you know, a fairly short period, really, where you've you know kind of grown into the strong photographer that you are, is there one that you remember as being your I'd say most memorable shoot so far?
Yeah, I would say it has to be the Chris Kyle shoot. We had 10 days where we just went to the most dramatic locations all over Denmark, and we just have a free pass to do whatever we liked. Like, we had all access to everything. That was just amazing. Like, they closed down the roller coaster for us, and we were there all night. I did a prior shoot to that was booked beforehand, so I worked 7 mornings to 7 mornings that day.
Wow.
Yeah, just injected Red Bull directly into my veins and then kept on driving. And that was amazing trip, and we did so many nice things, and we had like a rainbow at the west coast of Denmark, and where he jumped over. We had a the Lighthouse Shoot. And
yeah.
He actually got to. I wasn't there that day because I had my child's first birthday. But he did a loop inside a tunnel with the sharks swimming around. So it was a tunnel inside a water tank where he did a loop inside it, sharks around. And he jumped over the water and landed on a car on a ferry and stuff like that. So it was an amazing 10 days of shooting.
Gosh. Yeah, well, that definitely tested you, I'd say, as well. It put you in many, many different situations, and your skill set probably went through the roof over that 10 days.
Thank you.
Then how about, should I say, the most dangerous? Sounds like Chris Kyle again, really.
No, I would say Ragnarok in Norway, where we shot with the 400 kiteboarders that was doing a 100K race on a glacier, and we were sitting in the trailer behind the snow scooter, and just that trailer, we went so fast, and then when there were jump, and I jumped in the trailer, landed on my tripod and spruced like 3 ribs, and then directly after that, like 15 seconds later, when I was sitting like, this hurts, and just but go, we need these images. A kite line dropped. So he dropped he was on one side of the snow scooter, the line dropped over us on the other side, and everybody else got free, but I was sitting there, and then just hit me directly in the neck, and just tore my snow glasses, and just bruised me here and here, so I had burns here and here from the line.
Oh my life.
I just shouted to the producer that was next to me, "Am I okay? This burns in my eyes." Like, "You're good. Well, let's go." And then after the race was done, I was just bleeding and burns all over my face and it looked like shit.
Wow. God. Okay. That's.
Yeah. Minus 20 degrees at the same time, so it was that was difficult.
Yeah.
I had 4 cameras with me there, and 2 of them stopped working because it was so cool.
So cold. Goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you were on that shoot. You was part of that shoot as well.
I wasn't. I wasn't there, but I did. I remember now. I commissioned you to do a bit of work, bit of work on it, and you created a nice little time lapse, and you did some infrared work as well. So that was when I
putting me in harm's way.
Yeah, I know. Now I feel extremely guilty. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm with you now. I'll be on the scooter next time. It's fine. I'll come and shoot it. I won't.
You can here when you get here for the guest room.
Yeah, exactly. Quite. I'll bring you a bottle of something, and we'll toast your good health following that shoot.
Just like been on multiple shots. Last time I was snowboarding shooting, I broke 3 ribs. Apparently, it's not good to go fast on your snowboard and then land on your camera because you just had it in your hand. And then,
No, that's never good. I think you should consider maybe wearing kind of a bulletproof vest or something going forward.
I think I have enough gear to carry around already.
Well, yes, but it certainly sounds like you're getting damaged by them. And I tell you, as you get older, those damages don't heal very quickly. But
yeah. I noticed.
Exactly. You're finding that out. So tell me, just before we kind of wrap up, I'd be quite interested to know if you're working on any personal projects at the minute, or if you've got anything going on.
Currently, I just did a shoot also with a Red Bull mountain bike athlete where we did it in infrared. There's a new technology out there where you can shoot infrared like the good old Coda IR days, film days, where everything more or less turns pink.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that series getting out here around 1st of September. So that went really, really well.
That's nice. Yeah. Do you still have an infrared camera? Because
I bought a new one with a new technology, and so it's better now.
Excellent.
It's easier and better, and the colors are just greater, and it's also easy to work with. The old technology, you had to reinvent invert the colors and stuff like that. It was really difficult to work with, but this one is good all the way.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to seeing those. That will be a very interesting one. Any other sort of technical wizardry that you've got in mind?
No, for now I'm good. I just bought last year I bought the GFX 100, so I'm shooting a lot of stuff in medium format now.
Yeah.
Trying to shoot 15 frames a second all the time.
Nice. Okay. Very stylish. Heading down the fine art path then. Slightly moving down the fine art path, you could say.
Yeah, slightly. But trying to keep it corporate and action sport at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, keep your hand in, but you've got a good balance there. As the images that we've just seen, you've shown some really strong skill set. Really nice little portfolio. So congratulations, really, on the work that you've done in this time, and may you continue to find creativity, shall we say? So the last question I'd like to pump past you is one that I've been running past everyone really as this series has progressed, which is to do with COVID. You mentioned at the very beginning that COVID hadn't dramatically hit Denmark, but I'm quite interested to know from the wider perspective, not necessarily to do with photography, but if you choose to answer in that way, that's fine. One thing that you think will change forever as a result of COVID. Now, I've heard lots of different answers from people. Just interested in your opinion. Oh, we've lost him. The most important time. Connecting, poor connection. There he is. I've got the Skype connection has just dropped out. Right when I ask him that one question, I'm not sure whether he'll actually make it back or not. Do we wait and see? If we don't, we have to go with it's a no answer from Esben. Give it a couple seconds more. If you're out there watching, what do you think I should do? Hold on. I think he's possibly just gone. Never had this happen before. So looks like we might have to leave it there. I will leave it there. I'm going to pop back to us. I have to say goodbye to Esben now, virtually, and I would just say thanks very much for joining us. Bit of a strange way to finish it this week, but no matter. It was all good. It was very, very interesting to speak to Esben all the way from Denmark, the man responsible for amazing images on snowboards. Do go check them out. I think they might still be available at Nitro. If not, email them if you're interested. That's all from me this week. Next week, I will be doing this potentially on a Tuesday. Let's see how things play out. But as for now, go look back on all the other conversations and talks that I've had with the photographers. And also do check out charliepinphoto.co.uk for any amazing prints for your wall. Thanks very much for joining, and until next time.